What's up, everybody? Kyle McGee here, back with another episode of Wrestling the Past, and I am once again joined by the legendary Drew Blazer. Drew, how's it going today, man?
Oh, it's doing pretty well. How you doing? Good to be back.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to have you back. Of course, we did miss about a week or so, and then there was the return last week with the Scott Hall episode. This was going to originally be WrestleMania month. Things obviously changed. So for those of you who don't know and weren't part of the Raw Watchalong that Drew and I did a little while ago, Penny, the dog, everybody's favorite on this channel, did unfortunately get bloat. Her stomach flipped. So we ended up missing a bit of time. She was recovering from surgery. Everything is good now. She just got her stitches out yesterday, so things are looking good. But yeah, it obviously kind of made things, recording a podcast was not exactly at the top of priority list, so we did miss a little bit of time. But nevertheless, we are going to close out what was originally supposed to be WrestleMania month, talking about The Undertaker at WrestleMania, and we are going to be doing a watch-along for two specific matches. Drew and I each picked a match. Drew, do you want to go ahead and tell the people what match you picked and why you picked it?
Oh, man. Well, I picked WrestleMania 24 versus Edge. It's like pretty much one of my favorite feuds of all time.
Yes.
From 2007, 2008. So, and a pretty good match. So, I think it should be good.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was the main event of the first ever WrestleMania that I watched, like, live as it happened. It wasn't the first WrestleMania I was live for, but watching it live as it happened, that was the very first one. I have very fond memories of that match. And yes, that storyline and that feud is easily one of the best of all time, right?
Yeah, and it was my first WrestleMania, I should say, as well. So,
yep.
Little sentimental about it.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing that you're going to see with both matches we picked. They are two of the great matches in The Undertaker's streak, but I also think there's a lot of sentimental attachment to it as well.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so for those of you who are watching on YouTube, it's quite obvious what match I picked, so I'll get into that. I am going to have us watching The Undertaker's match at WrestleMania 23 alongside the Animal Batista. So ironically enough, both matches you and I picked are for the World Heavyweight Championship, and they're back-to-back years. I'm just noticing that the pictures that I have, both pictures of them that I have where they're holding the world title nameplate says Batista. So I have the picture from when Edge won it from with Batista's nameplate on it. So that's kind of funny.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's attention to detail there. Very nice.
Yeah, so, I mean, these are two of the Undertaker matches where, this is basically, I think, from WrestleMania 23 on to about, I'd say WrestleMania 29 is when the Undertaker's matches were just phenomenal at WrestleMania. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Of course, he had some good ones mixed in there, WrestleMania 17 and 18 with Triple H and Ric Flair respectively, and then WrestleMania 21 with Randy Orton, but he didn't always have these blockbuster matches that he went on to have, and the WrestleMania 23 match with Batista was kind of the start of that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's pretty much when it started.
Yeah, like I said, he had the WrestleMania 21 match with Orton, which is a very good one, but these are two of, I think, two of the better matches of his of the streak, and also two of the more underrated ones. I don't feel like when people talk about their favorite streak matches, you hear this one get brought up. You hear both Shawn Michaels matches, you hear the Hell in a Cell match, you hear the CM Punk match from people. I think you don't hear these two matches as often.
So we'll go ahead and watch them.
Yep, we're going to be watching them. Give them some credit, absolutely. So we're going to start things off first. We'll be watching the WrestleMania 23 match against Batista. If you pull up WrestleMania 23 on Peacock, you're going to go to the 1 hour, 18 minute, and 23 second mark. You'll see Teddy Long in the ring. But before we get into watching it, Drew, a little bit of backstory for those who didn't watch at the time, or maybe just don't quite remember it, or are just hearing about this for the first time. So this all started when The Undertaker won the 2007 Royal Rumble. He actually became the first ever person to win the Royal Rumble from the number 30 spot. I'm sure you remember that.
Yes, yes.
So he became the first one to win it from number 30, and over the next few weeks, he kind of teased the idea of challenging all three of the current world champions, which were, of course, John Cena, the WWE champion, Bobby Lashley, the ECW champion, and then, of course, Batista, the world heavyweight champion. After weeks of teasing it, he would pick Batista on the February 5th episode of Raw with all three champs in the ring. He did the throat slash in front of Batista, followed by a choke slam. In the build to WrestleMania, they would... Sorry, go ahead.
No, it was very entertaining how he kind of teased challenging any of those three.
Yeah, they did a great job. They had him show up on Raw and kind of tease challenging Cena. They even had him surprise people by showing up on ECW, which got a huge ovation. And of course, he and Batista were both on SmackDown. So yeah, I remember watching that live. That was when I had first gotten back into wrestling. So while I didn't watch WrestleMania 23 live when it happened, that was the year that I first became a wrestling fan again. So I watched as a little kid for WCW and then got back into it again in November 2006. So this was the first WrestleMania build-up I remember watching, and it was just magical, especially the tease with The Undertaker. But after that, the two would partake in several tag team matches leading up to the event. And in the early going, Batista, was coming out and saying he had a lot of respect for The Undertaker. Was reiterating that he had great respect for The Undertaker, and despite that, was going to be fighting him at WrestleMania anyways. But after being attacked several times in these tag team matches, he would reveal that he no longer respected him. Then at No Way Out, Batista would finally get some revenge. They were taking on John Cena, the WWE champion, and Shawn Michaels, who was going to be challenging John Cena at WrestleMania. In a tag team match, Batista would cost The Undertaker their match by hitting him with his signature spinebuster, allowing Shawn Michaels to hit the Sweet Chin Music, followed by the FU by John Cena, now known as the AA, allowing them to capitalize on the win. Before I continue on with the rest of the build, this was a unique thing they did that I thought actually felt pretty cool in hindsight. The last pay-per-view before WrestleMania and the two world title matches are teaming up and facing each other. That's a pretty unique concept, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty good build at the time. Undertaker and Batista, I felt like, really brought the best out of each other in this feud. They continued building, and then on the final Raw before Mania, they would do a rematch from No Way Out, and Undertaker would actually walk out on Batista to get his revenge on Batista for attacking him, but Batista would win because Shawn Michaels, after weeks and weeks and weeks of teasing it, hit his partner John Cena, and who was also his tag team champion partner at the time, but also his opponent that week at WrestleMania, John Cena with the Sweet Chin Music, which allowed Batista to get the win. It was also reported, and this is now famous, Batista was very frustrated with the match not being the main event. They went on 5th, and he even went backstage after the match and yelled, "Let's see them top that," when he got backstage.
Batista?
He was very adamant that they should have gone on last. This is a great match. What do you think? Should they have gone on last, or do you think Shawn and Cena going on last was the right move?
I think Batista has a good point, but I don't know if it should have been like the 5th match, but it could have been a little higher, but I don't know about it being main event. But I get his point.
I think you could have gone with either, to be 100% honest. Either match main eventing wasn't wrong.
Either way. Yeah.
I agree. I agree 100%. Yeah, no, it definitely is interesting hearing that. I remember even we would have been in 6th grade at the time when this match happened. I remember hearing about it even back then, that Batista was frustrated about not being the main event. And going back and watching it once I was able to back then, I loved this match. But I loved the Cena-Michaels match. I'll tell you what, though. You didn't start watching wrestling until a few months after this, right?
Yeah, it was September 2007.
Yep, that was what I was thinking just now when I was thinking about this. I thought it was September 2007. Have you ever gone back and watched like this storyline between Batista and The Undertaker and the build-up for this?
like I've seen clips and kind of what the story is. So I kind of yeah.
Yeah. It was, to me, it was a really good feud. I might have the nostalgia goggles on, but I really love this. This was at the peak of my wrestling fandom. To be 100% honest with you, I don't know that I was ever as big of a fan of wrestling, even to this day, as much as I still love it. I don't think I've ever been as big of a fan of wrestling, besides as a little child watching WCW, as I was from late 2006 to about mid to late 2008. I'd
Yeah.
say arguably, I would actually say summer 2009 is kind of when, while I stayed a fan, it started to taper off.
Oh yeah, that was a strange year, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course,
So
2007 was a strange year in its own right, but as a fan, as a little
yeah, true.
kid, it was absolutely phenomenal. So
Yeah,
I'd highly recommend anybody who's not seen this feud, go back and watch it. There's a lot of good stuff. But we are going to get right into it now. We're going to get into the thick of the action. So go ahead and pull up Peacock if you got it. And we are going to be watching The Undertaker versus Batista at WrestleMania 23 from Detroit, Michigan. And we will give you some time to pull it up. We know that there's going to be an advertisement once you first pull it up, because you got to fast forward to that point. So again, 1 hour, 18-minute, 23-second mark. Feel free to pause this podcast because we are going to get started. Drew, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play.
Here we go.
Here we go. Teddy Long making the introduction. How fitting is
Let
it
me
to
know.
have... Go ahead.
Let me know if you can hear it on my end. I don't think you can.
I don't hear it, no.
Oh, good.
Man, I'll tell you what. I have some serious nostalgia watching this Batista. Drew,
man.
one of the best theme songs of all time for Batista, obviously.
Yes. Epic.
Where is Batista? Where does he rank as far as like your favorite wrestlers of all time? I mean, this is a guy we grew up watching. Is he in your top 10, top 15, or is he a little bit lower?
Probably say top 10. I can't say top 5, though he was, like you said, like a big part of that time of me watching.
Yep.
But
Obviously, we'll get
he'd be
into.
top 10.
Yeah, I would say for me, he's top 10, top 15. I loved
Yeah.
Batista around this time frame. Of course, I rooted for the Undertaker. Undertaker was a mythical character as a little kid, and he's remained iconic over the years, which is why we're discussing him this Friday. He will be going into the Hall of Fame,
Oh, man.
and obviously,
Yeah, that's the thing about these two. You had, like you said, a mythical figure, but then you also have Batista, who's very imposing.
yeah, oh yeah, and this
Oh,
is
man.
Batista was huge at this time. And here comes the iconic entrance.
Yeah.
Big amount of fireworks there.
Dun, 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 dun.
Drew, let's be honest. How many times have you done the Batista entrance just in your own time?
Yeah, too many.
Too many.
many.
100% too many for myself. But if you watched wrestling back then as a kid and you claim you didn't do it, either you were a liar or you just didn't have fun.
Man, all that stuff that I would do in the basement at that house
Yep.
back in the day. You know, dim the lights when Undertaker would make his entrance.
Yeah, I see. I would do the same thing. That's so funny.
Yeah. I'm not surprised.
I don't know if I've ever told
Yeah,
you
do
this,
the
but
Batista thing.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
the first ever bump I ever took,
Oh.
I was watching a fan video of like an Undertaker match, like from a house show. And I
man.
was like, I was in the living room, like fantasizing about like wrestling the Undertaker, and
Yeah.
I threw a drop kick. Got really excited.
Oh.
This was around this time frame, by the way. It would have been probably December 2006. Now that I think about it, so a few months before this. But I threw a drop kick in my living room and landed flat on my back.
Ah. Oh, man.
I popped right
How'd
back
that
up.
feel?
I popped right back
Oh.
up, but that was not fun. I'll tell you that much.
Great to be young, I guess. But
Yeah.
it's still not fun.
Nope, and that was over at my old house, which had a concrete slab underneath.
Yeah. That's why I cringed right away. It's like,
Yep.
oh.
And here come the Druids.
The Druids. Druids.
Oh boy.
It's punny.
That was not the pun we're looking for.
Yeah.
Man, you've been to a WrestleMania Live and gotten to witness the Undertaker's entrance. I've been to 2 WrestleManias and gotten to witness it. Obviously, we got to witness it a few years after his peak. You got to witness an amazing match at WrestleMania 26, which we almost did a watch-along to here today. But, man, for people who have not gotten to experience, and because of his retirement now, probably never will, there is nothing else like experiencing an Undertaker entrance live, is there?
I mean, I feel bad for young fans who've never seen his entrance live. And like you said, probably never will now.
Yeah.
Sad.
Great acting on the part of Batista as he stares up.
Well, no, I've seen him at a SmackDown show, seen him at WrestleMania. You kind of feel the fire.
You do, yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, you know what? You and I also saw him at Raw. We got to see his entrance at Raw together in the build-up.
Oh, man.
That was, because remember, we were at the Paul Bearer tribute episode.
Yeah. CM Punk being a dick.
Of course. And here he comes, that epic theme of The Undertaker. I mean, and this entrance is iconic with that illuminating hallway effect that they did.
Oh. See, this beats the CGI crap that they do any day. So
100%. The CGI stuff nowadays is just, it's cringeworthy, to be honest.
Oh, overkill. Yeah. Look at this.
Yeah, it's awe-inspiring watching this, just like watching it back, but being there live, like, I'm serious, there's nothing else like it. If you ever got to experience an Undertaker entrance live and you're a big fan of wrestling, I'm sure you agree, there's nothing else like it. And just, that is an absolute legend of the business. Drew, is it a safe thing to say that Undertaker is probably the greatest WWE superstar of all time? Not the greatest in-ring performer, but the greatest WWE superstar.
Yeah, I'd probably say so, yeah. I mean, who else is there, really? Guess you could say Bret Hart, maybe, but no. I'd say Undertaker.
But when you think about what it means to be a WWE superstar, I would argue that that's not Bret Hart.
Yeah.
When you think about
Taker being there so long.
Yeah, and just how ingrained he is in the WWE and everything he's done, how iconic he is. I mean, I went back for this because we were originally going to do our top 5 favorite Undertaker matches each, but we did have a little bit of a caveat to those. It was, we couldn't duplicate, so if he picked a Triple H match, I couldn't pick a Triple H match, even if it is on my top 5 list. So we kind of tried to keep things interesting. And one of the matches I ended up with, as you know, Drew, was the WrestleMania 14 match with Kane. And I went back and watched that, and that was in 1998, and the ovation for him then was huge.
Oh, yeah.
And it continued over the years. I mean, even here, he is a beloved fan favorite and probably one of the most popular guys on the roster, and this is 9 years after that.
Because there's just such a mystique to him and just epicness.
Yeah, we see him doing his out-of-character stuff nowadays, and it almost feels weird because for so long, The Undertaker would not break kayfabe. He would not really ever do interviews outside of character. So seeing him doing it now almost does feel a little odd.
It's like you feel guilty watching it.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling because it's nice to see him opening up and hearing all these stories, but then you're like, this just doesn't feel right.
It's all good.
And the arms are raising. And the lights come up at Ford Field and the eyes are rolled back.
And the only other guy that nowadays can always just stay in character is MJF.
Yeah, and it's a completely different thing.
Yeah. I saw someone comment that the day that MJF turns face is kind of like when Hogan turned heel with the NWO. That's how it's going to be like.
A little bit, yeah, because it'll just be so shocking.
Oh.
The World Heavyweight Championship. Yeah, see, like, That
I
CGI
like that
graphic right
always have.
there looked so much better than what they do
It was
nowadays.
just, it was just simple.
Yeah,
It
just
wasn't over the top and weird.
like the creepy ass big time Bex thing that they play, or
Oh,
the Roman Reigns one, which is just nightmarish.
yeah.
Referee Charles Robinson, who will be making a legendary appearance in the next match that we watch.
Oh, yes, yes, of course.
The iconic moment. I can't wait to break that
Uh,
down. And here we
and
go.
that
And a
WrestleMania is in high def.
yeah, big
The
spear
first
and a
HD
takedown.
WrestleMania. Yes.
Of course, we get the obligatory Undertaker match starting off with them trading strikes, but so believable with these two, and both of them kind of chasing off the ref to get the advantage on the other one.
And the legendary JBL on commentary.
I just noticed the signs in the background that say Batista sucks. A huge clothesline.
Dicks. He was kind of a heel in this, even though he wasn't supposed to be.
A little bit, yeah. Undertaker pulling him out. And I think while he wasn't necessarily the heel or a heel, it was just the Undertaker was so beloved. Fans, you weren't going to get the fans to root against him, especially with how long it had been since he was the world champ.
Yeah, you had to pick a side.
Oh, there's the classic Undertaker
Taker.
being punch drunk spot.
Oh, you're killing me. Come on, Taker. We're not
Woo!
even 5 minutes into this. Look at this.
Damn.
Oh,
Yeah, right out of, like, we're not even 5 minutes into this, and he just went flying over those steps. It's kind of crazy watching this, then thinking about how he looked in the last few years, isn't it?
oh yeah. But you know that happens.
Man, so just such a huge wave of nostalgia for me going back and watching this, honestly.
Yeah, I was starting to get emotional now.
No.
Good.
Batista up top with a huge shoulder tackle. Man, Batista going to the top rope. You want to talk about a rare appearance.
Yeah,
So,
but at least he hits it, unlike Ric Flair.
well, yes, of course. I would have shit if Taker got up there and fucking press slammed him off the top rope. Big boot and
Just
then
like
a
your buddy
clothesline.
Rick. Oh,
I really do. I love the storytelling of this match so far. Big back and forth. Neither guy really gaining the advantage for too long, but Batista is kind of controlling most of it.
well, and just to start it explosive too, instead of locking up and all that.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. When you heard the story that I read about the build up to this match, these two coming out and starting off with a collar and elbow tie up psychologically would not have made sense. Big
But you
body
know how
slam.
so many guys will do that, even when they're in a very personal feud.
Yeah.
It never makes any sense.
No, I remember when I was in pro wrestling training, Billy Rock would talk about it, and he talked about needing to understand the psychology. Big punches to the belly. I always
Tell
loved
your
that spot
story.
from Undertaker with the fast punches.
Oh yeah.
So the thing that he talked about was, like, you need to understand the psychology. If you're supposed to be engaged in this blood feud, does it really make sense for you guys to come out and then start with a collar elbow tie up and do some chain wrestling?
No. Yeah, exactly.
It's one thing if you're engaged in a feud, like, while it was kind of a blood feud based off the family aspect of it and how personal it got, Bret Hart and Owen Hart made sense starting off that way.
Yeah.
They were both great technical wrestlers, but Batista and Undertaker, it needs to be a hard-hitting, to quote JR, it needs to be a slobber knocker.
Well, it's kind of like what Kevin Nash always said.
Snake
You kind of got
eyes.
to treat it. Yes. You got to treat it like it's like a real fight. If there's a real personal situation going on, yeah, you're not going to do the collar and elbow.
No.
Just got to go at it.
And that's exactly what these guys did here. Yeah, man, this to me is just such a great match. We're only a little bit into it, but it's I can't speak enough to how much I enjoyed this match and how great they did with the time they were allotted. Of course, one of the most famous moves of all time as Undertaker's going old school right now. You see the crowd coming up to their feet, Drew.
Oh yeah, what a visual.
Man, you won't see anything like this nowadays. And it's kind of like somebody said, you go back and watch the 90s stuff, and whenever a big stuff would happen, and you'd see the flash of the cameras,
Oh,
it made the moments
yeah.
feel so much more epic.
Man.
The strength of Batista.
Look at Batista. Like all upset.
See, these guys did such a good job. Like,
yeah, these guys are just pros.
They really are. Man, Batista is so criminally underrated, I think. That was an interesting move there. You know, I actually learned something about Batista just yesterday. He was on Men's Health, and he kind of showed, like, his home gym and fridge. Showed, like, how he eats and stuff like that. First off, he follows a plant-based diet now, which I thought was interesting.
Oh, wow.
When you think about a guy his size, how much plants he's eating a day. But the second thing, did you know he has chronic asthma?
Oh, no.
He would keep an inhaler under the ring, and what he would do is during matches, he would sneak under the ring real quick and take a puff out of his inhaler.
I mean, if you don't have respect for him after hearing that, then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah,
wow.
Like, my God, to have asthma and do what these guys do that takes a lot.
I mean, he's probably already winded right now.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
All the stuff they've done so far? Wow. Oh, man.
Yeah, this to me
You weren't ready for the leg drop yet.
No, not quite yet. We're not quite ready for that. There's the big boot. Setting up for it. Man, I think Jeff Hardy has gone on record as saying that, like, the leg drop from The Undertaker on the apron was one of the scariest things he's ever taken.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, think about it. You have that big dude coming at you full
and
speed.
you're draped over the apron. It's not really a comforting thing. Batista just slumps to the ground. See, great selling by Batista, too.
Yeah.
Doesn't take this drastic bump.
Everything.
Yeah, just subtle facial expressions and then just letting his body slump down after all that. Boom. Yeah, I might be biased because I grew up watching this, but man, the era when Cena and Batista were the two faces of the company were just such a great time period. Big splash from The Undertaker. The future Domino was not there to fuck up and not catch him. It might have been Deuce. I don't know, but thankfully, no neck injury here.
Oh, man. When did that happen?
That was WrestleMania 25 against Shawn Michaels. Remember when he landed on the top of his head? Because the fake cameraman, which I believe was Deuce, from Deuce and Domino.
That was the fake camera guy.
You didn't know that? Yeah. It was.
I know that's probably surprising, but yeah.
Yeah, I believe it was Sim Snuka, Jimmy Snuka's adopted son. Which ironic we talk about Jim. Yep. Ironic that we talk about Jimmy Snuka because he was the Undertaker's first opponent in the streak.
That is true.
And he was called the Phenom back then, so that's kind of how the nickname got passed to the Undertaker.
Really?
Yep.
Oh man. Gal's spitting all the facts here.
I told you, man. My dad and my grandparents used to talk back then about how I was kind of a wrestling encyclopedia. I could tell them the story of wrestling from stuff I wasn't even around for. I wasn't around when Undertaker fought Jimmy Superfly Snuka, but oh man, huge going over the timekeeper's table, smacking into those chairs. Yeah, very, very physical match and great storytelling from these two.
Yeah, it's just crazy how explosive it's been.
Yeah.
Non-stop.
It's been non-stop.
Look, Batista just going to town.
Yeah, I was going to say, Batista just beating the holy hell out of Undertaker. Oh, man.
No, but I'm glad you picked this as one of your matches because you know I was torn.
Yep.
I kind of wanted to pick this, but...
Yeah, so for those of you who, like I said, we'd picked our top 5, and this was going to be on my top 5, but I let Drew pick his top 5 first, and it actually ended up being on his. So we ended up changing our format because with the stuff with Penny, it was kind of difficult to try and watch 10 matches, especially with how long some of them are. But both these two matches were on the list, and both of them, quite honestly, would have been on mine had you not picked them, is what's ironic.
Yeah, I believe it, yeah.
Here we are on the broadcast table. So we know that the Spanish broadcast table is about to go bye-bye. This just feels like, watching this, I'm like, yep, we are definitely watching Ruthless Aggression era wrestling, right?
Yeah. It was, yeah, I don't know.
Big power slam.
I don't know if people give that time enough credit. The Ruthless Aggression era, that was a good era.
It was. To me, it's right up. I'm going to say something controversial. It had its bad moments, but I think it's right up there with the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
I think the difference between the two is there wasn't the competition aspect, so WWE didn't always bring their peak. But, like, look at, like, the lower mid-card during the Attitude Era and tell me that was still something to be proud of.
Oh, I know.
As much good as the Attitude Era did, I don't care what anybody says, there's also a lot of bad to it.
Well, nobody ever wants to talk about the bad of it. But yeah, it's true.
Yep, and that's the fun thing about nostalgia. Now we got a pin, 1, 2, and of course the Undertaker gets the shoulder up. If you didn't see that coming, you're an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, just think about the Taker and Shawn matches, how many false finishes there was in that.
You know what's funny is I didn't watch the WrestleMania 25 match until years after the fact. Just because, well, I didn't watch the pay-per-view live, and I didn't go out and get the DVD for the WrestleMania. And it took me a while to be able to watch the full match, I should say. I watched clips. But man, you know what's funny is I got so into it when I finally did watch it, I fell for one of the false finishes knowing the ending.
Yeah.
That was how great they did.
There. Yeah. They suck you in even though you already knew.
Big belly to belly by Batista. Yeah, this match to me more than anything is just showing how criminally underrated Batista is in the ring. When he gets the opportunity to go with the right opponent, he can go.
Oh yeah. And Undertaker is a really good opponent for him.
Oh yeah, these two put on phenomenal matches together. The top rope.
Yeah, crazy to think. This was 15 years ago, coming up soon.
Yep, that is wow, unbelievable. I bet you anything, the Undertaker's not going to get a last ride on him here. Not the way Batista's posed.
No way.
Oh wait, I was wrong. Oh my God.
Oh.
Can we talk about how impressive it is that wasn't just like a power bomb? He actually got him for that last ride.
I love that.
I mean, Batista was over 300 pounds at this time. That's impressive.
Yeah. It's like, man. Wow. Taker.
Yeah, the emotion and the selling on these two faces is just absolutely phenomenal here. And that huge spine buster. Batista, I don't think Batista had the best spine buster of all time, but he's up there.
Yeah.
I'm sure you would not be surprised to know that I think easily the best spine buster of all time belongs to Arn Anderson.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's why people call it the AA spine buster when a lot of people hit it.
Oh, yeah.
These two just trading their signature maneuvers at this point. You can tell we're getting towards the finish. And it is just incredible to me, especially when you think about Batista having asthma, how much of a pace these two kept up.
Yeah.
And Taker calling for the finish.
Yeah. That's crazy about the asthma stuff.
Yeah, and I didn't know that till just yesterday when I watched that video. Got a tombstone attempt, but Batista counters. Spear! Now I just complimented his his spine buster, but I will always say was never a big fan of Batista's spear.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Jeez.
Pretty rough looking Batista bomb there.
The streak is over.
See that? The facial expressions from Batista there.
What?
That was amazing.
Yeah.
He's smiling. He had this huge smile on his face after he hit it. Like,
he's like,
I did it. I've got the streak.
Yeah.
And then the kick out. That was...
That's like, oh, boy.
Oh, that is phenomenal selling right there in of itself. Selling is about more than just responding to a move being done to you and screaming out in pain. It's facial expressions for moments like that.
Woo!
To the gut. Oh, goodness.
Uh-oh.
And here we go. Taker's got him up. Oh, yeah, you could tell. See, the size of Batista, he struggled with that and still got him.
Yeah.
Stone, pile driver. And The Undertaker is the World Heavyweight Champion. Such a great match, man. 15-0 now at this point. Yeah, this was an absolutely incredible match, was it not?
And there wasn't really a whole lot of false finishes, but they didn't really need it.
No, they didn't.
It was just so good.
It was so good. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, nowadays, a match that goes that length, there's a ton of false finishes. Yeah, and there's just really, you don't know, this shows you don't need that. They were just great storytelling. It was a physical match, and that was all they did. They got to their signature moves at the end. You had one false finish with the Batista bomb, and that was it.
Oh, man.
So, you know, Drew, we are not the only ones who thought this match was great. It got rave reviews at the Times, and Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer gave the match 4 stars out of a possible 5. You know, I honestly, I would kind of agree with that. It wasn't exactly a perfect match, but it was really good. I think that's a pretty fair ranking for it. What would you think?
Yeah, I would say it's probably around there.
I know you're shocked to hear me say I agree with Dave Meltzer, but here we are.
Yeah. Well,
yep. So
new day for everything, I guess.
Yeah, it's every dog has his day, I suppose.
Yeah.
In the aftermath of the pay-per-view after that, Undertaker and Batista did continue their feud. Had a last man standing match at Backlash. It would be a draw after Batista speared him off the stage, and they both stayed down for the 10 count. They would have a rematch in a steel cage match on the May 11th episode of SmackDown, which also ended in a draw.
Yeah.
Which people who were there live said it was definitely not a draw, and you could tell they edited it for TV because I think they said Undertaker's feet clearly hit first if you were there live. I know it was one of them, their feet clearly hit first.
Yeah.
But it was a draw. However, Undertaker was injured, and they had him written off TV by having Mark Henry attack him after the match. And then Edge would famously cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase, which he had recently won from Mr. Kennedy, and The Undertaker would be out till Unforgiven of that year, which was in September, where he would return and face Mark Henry. Of course, Edge would be the world champion. He would retain it for a while till he got injured, which would result in the Great Khali becoming champ. And then we kind of get into our build for WrestleMania 24 from there. Batista would regain it in the fall of 2007, the World Heavyweight Championship, that is. He would reignite a feud with The Undertaker. Taker would fail to capture the title back from Batista at Cyber Sunday with Stone Cold as the referee. And then again at Survivor Series inside Hell in a Cell when Edge made his return from injury. And then Edge would... Yes, this is the start of that famous feud between the three of them.
That I love, yes.
Oh, yeah, no, it was phenomenal. And then Edge would, of course, win the World Heavyweight Championship in a triple threat match at Armageddon, which laid the groundwork, these past 2 events of Survivor Series and Armageddon, laid the groundwork for what would be the WrestleMania 24 main event. Undertaker would fail to repeat winning the Royal Rumble this year, but on the February 1st episode of SmackDown, assistant general manager, because of course, this time, Vicky Guerrero, who is quote-unquote married to Edge, is
Yeah.
going to be announcing that at No Way Out, an Elimination Chamber match will be held to determine the number one contender. And The Undertaker won the match by last eliminating Batista. So here we are, nearly a year removed from their WrestleMania match, and it's pretty much all about Undertaker, Edge, and Batista still.
Yes.
Of course, on the following episode of SmackDown, Edge predicted the 15-0 streak would come to an end once he defeated him. 2 weeks later, on March 7th, Edge, Kurt Hawkins, and Zack Ryder, a.k.a. the Edgeheads at the time, defeated The Undertaker in a handicap match, with Edge pinning The Undertaker. The next week, La Familia, which was Chavo Guerrero, Edge, Hawkins, and Ryder, defeated Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels in a steel cage match. Undertaker did interfere in that match and attack La Familia, but Edge escaped the cage to win the match for his team. 2 weeks later, Edge, Vicky Guerrero, Hawkins, and Ryder held a mock burial entitled The Burial of The Undertaker's WrestleMania Streak to celebrate an early victory for Edge at WrestleMania over The Undertaker. During this, however, The Undertaker emerged from a casket which was inside the ring and attacked Edge, Hawkins, and Ryder, knocking Hawkins and Ryder outside the ring and chokeslamming Edge through the casket to Vicky Guerrero's screams. This was... Personally, I loved it. I thought it was a lot of fun, the story and the build-up for this. What do you think, Drew? You were watching at the time. Did you like the storyline build-up to this? I know you said it's one of your favorite feuds. So what did you think of the WrestleMania build?
Oh, I loved it, yes. That's all I got to say. I love it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And for those of you who are going to join us for the watch-along of this, pull up WrestleMania 24 on Peacock, and you're going to go to 3 hours, 9 minutes, and 40 seconds. That is the main event of the night. And
there you go.
Like I said, pull it up, get through the advertisements, and then feel free to pause this while you're waiting. Drew, are you ready?
Not yet, no.
Okay, go ahead and pull it up.
Switch over.
So again, everybody, 3 hours, 9 seconds, 3 hours, 9 minutes, 40 seconds.
Oh, man.
You're going to get it pulled up. You're going to have a Peacock advertisement once you get to that point. And then once I get the countdown done and ready, if you are not in a good position to be starting it, feel free to pause it.
What is it again? 3 hours and what?
3 hours, 9 minutes, and 40 seconds.
Yeah, this Peacock, they don't make it easy.
No, they do not.
Oh, man.
So ironically enough, like I said, we just covered WrestleMania 23. Now here we are covering the main event of WrestleMania 24. So Undertaker would go on to main event WrestleMania 24. He would also go on to main event WrestleMania 26. I would argue he should have main evented WrestleMania 25 with Shawn Michaels, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
He would also go on to main event WrestleMania 33 against Roman Reigns, which I was there live for, and he would main event night 1 of WrestleMania 36.
Oh, man. I'm at 3 hours, 9 minutes, and 15 seconds.
Okay, so you're about 25 seconds away from where you need to be.
All right.
So once you're there, let me know. We'll make sure you're not getting advertisements, and then we will get going.
All right, we're good. I have the ad-free version, so we're good.
Okay, well, you're a dick. So, we are going to get started. If you don't have it pulled up yet, feel free to pause in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play.
Oh, man.
And we hear Justin Roberts doing the introduction. It's funny, my dad and I did almost go to this WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah, there in Florida.
Yep, and ironically enough, my second ever live WrestleMania that I went to would be with my father at this very same venue for WrestleMania 33.
Yeah. Wow.
Of course, the Druids are out again. You can go ahead and make your joke again if you would like, Drew.
No, I've probably already turned off a lot of people with that, so we'll move on.
Yeah,
If
it's
you're
probably...
still listening, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you all very much if you're still listening. And this is,
But
of
yeah,
course,
no,
the...
it was a classic feud. Good stuff.
Oh, yeah, and this is the
Yeah.
infamous WrestleMania where the pyro would go off for Undertaker and actually went into the stands where people were sitting.
Oh no. Yeah. Oh god.
And of
That
course,
happened recently too, I believe.
I believe
At
it
some
did,
event.
yeah. And there he is.
Woo! Look, oh my.
The flames. Oh, man. Yeah, that was a lot of fire just there.
Ooh.
You know, this is, to me, one of the best WrestleManias of all time. I'm sure I probably have some bias for that, but I really do feel this is one of the best WrestleManias of all time. Has a really cool stage, too, I think.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say the stage. The first well, I guess not the first ever, but it was outdoors.
Yep. It was the
It
first,
was nice.
like, modern era outdoor one, I think.
Yeah. Because they did have the Vegas one in the 90s,
Yeah,
but
we don't talk about that.
no.
I'm sure we will eventually cover that on Wrestling the Past, and it'll
Oh,
be one of the
torture.
worst days of my life. Yeah, there's just... I don't think any WWE superstar has ever had or ever will have the presence that The Undertaker has.
Oh, no, not at all. Might come somewhat close, but no, nothing like him. Of course, Omos is the next Andre the Giant, apparently,
According
as this
to...
man on the TV said.
I say according
Yep.
to the man that we're watching right now, yeah. And I don't know that he necessarily said that, but he said he's the closest thing we've had to Andre.
Yeah, I get what he meant.
Which I don't know if you've seen, but apparently reports have broken out today that Omos is going to be facing Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised about that. I figured he'd be on the shelf for a little bit, but
And
guess we'll see.
even if he's not, why? Why that?
Yeah,
Shouldn't Bobby come back and like be on a warpath for the world title?
yeah. I want my title back. You would think.
Because realistically, the way they're building Omos, is Omos going to lose? I doubt it.
Oh,
And of course, the lights again come on for The Undertaker. Yeah, this is a much different ring jacket compared to what he had for the last one.
yeah, it is.
Sleeveless, has kind of like the mini, not actual spikes, but the little mini spikes on them.
Kind of cool.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
dig it.
Dig it, sucker. Is that Charlotte Flair in the front row? No, that's not her.
I think it might be.
Yeah.
No, sincerely, it might be. You've got to remember, this was the Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair
Oh,
match.
I know. That's why I kind of wondered if it's her. Do you see her there?
Yeah,
Blonde?
I think it might be. I'll have to look.
Let me put the camera back on there. Let's see what time I'm on right now. 3:14:43.
Yep, we're within 1 second of each other, and here comes Edge.
Yeah.
Edge
Man,
Edge at the time was probably my favorite WWE superstar, but obviously I was rooting for The Undertaker. I know that probably sounds funny to hear me say that, but despite the fact that Edge was my favorite, I was obviously rooting for The Undertaker. I loved Edge back at the time, even as a heel.
Man.
But boy, oh boy.
How could you, though? He's so despicable, that prick.
But you know who I did not like? The woman that just got carted out. I hated Vicky Guerrero back then.
He loved her. That's his wife.
This was
Not
such
yet.
a weird and uncomfortable storyline for me.
Oh, yeah.
Ah,
There's just massive heat. Yeah, I mean, I wish I could put into words what this whole feud was, but I really can't.
no,
So great.
honestly, and you can go back and watch it, but I don't think it'll still be good, but I don't think it'll ever live up to the magic of watching it live when it happened.
Yeah. No, and I have watched it again in the past, and it's like, no, it's really not the same because it felt so long. The
Mm-hmm.
feud was so, that whole story was so long when you were watching it live
But
because
then
it
when
was
you
in
go,
real time.
but then when you go back and watch it, you realize, oh, it was only a couple of months.
Yeah. And then you binge it Netflix style, and it's like, really doesn't seem that long.
No, really
But
doesn't.
it seemed like forever back then. All the heat. Oh man. Woo.
Yeah, this was one of the best storylines I think we probably got to watch growing up.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh God, coach is on commentary.
Yeah,
That's fine. That's
forgot about
fine.
that.
Yeah, it's just what was going on at that time. That's
Just
upsetting.
just rejoice in the fact that we get to look at the big gold belt when we watch this match.
That's true. I do love that.
It's kind of wild to think here we are 14 years almost later, just a few days shy
Yeah.
of 14 years later, and Edge is going to be wrestling at WrestleMania against AJ Styles. And The
Yeah.
Undertaker is going
Who would
into
have
the Hall
thought?
of Fame. Just wild.
Yeah, would you be thinking that in 2008?
No, I would have never
AJ
thought.
Styles from TNA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would have never thought it back
Oh
then.
man, AJ Styles. Just the run that AJ has had in WWE, nobody would have seen coming.
No, absolutely not. People would have been like, oh, if AJ goes to WWE, he's going to get buried.
Yeah, they'll job him out. They won't know what to do with him. The guy's been WWE champion a couple times.
Tag team champion, United States champion.
Yeah. Well, my favorite rest right there, Jimmy Corderas.
Yep, Jimmy Corderas. Anybody that watched during the Ruthless
Huh.
Aggression era remembers him. Gets intimidated as the Undertaker
Did you
walks
see
towards
his
him.
reaction? Yes.
Just that. Oh
Like,
shit.
whoa. Like, whoa. Oh, man. Yeah, I like the outdoor feel. It's pretty cool. See his hair kind of blowing in the wind.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
his match is underway. And like I said, it's the obligatory start with the Undertaker. You have to trade strikes with him.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, credit to these guys. They did do the collar and elbow.
Yep, and again, I don't
And
think
they
it would have
shouldn't.
made sense for them.
No. Going at it. Woo. Oh, yeah. Stunner.
Apologies, I was still watching, but I did step away for just a split second to make sure the dogs were still all good.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, once again, we're seeing these two off to a really hot start, trading big strikes. Taker wailing on him in the corner.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, the chemistry between these two was absolutely phenomenal at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And that's, yeah, as Michael Cole just said, vintage Undertaker with that kind of like float over clothesline that he would do.
Yeah.
Here comes the nostalgic slash, as you would call it, emotional moment on my part. How
Woo.
absolutely blessed were you and I to have been watching wrestling at the time that this happened, at the time where The Undertaker was still working like this.
That's funny. You and I were thinking of the same thing at the same time, as usual. I was just going to say, look at him during these two matches compared to those last few years.
Yeah.
Wow. It's kind of depressing, but it happens.
No, it really is.
All the energy, and he was already 40 years old.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Still.
He's backing Jimmy Corderas up again.
Come on, Jimmy.
Oof. Interesting flying knee into the corner, and I guess Undertaker hurt himself.
Oh, boy. Yeah, it was a little awkward, for being honest.
And I think it was intentional. I think it was supposed to be like The Undertaker, he's so heated that he got a bit overzealous and kind of cost himself.
Yeah.
Shoulder tackle / spear to the outside. Yes, so see, it was designed to set up a heat spot. Undertaker's so heated and mad that he makes that costly mistake because he has so much fire going. He overextends himself, and now here we are with Edge getting the heat on him.
That's a good point, yeah.
No, really, really good psychology once again.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I think Undertaker had phenomenal in-ring psychology.
Oh, of course. And just seems like a lot of guys nowadays don't.
Nope, it's all about high spots nowadays, man.
Should we attack AEW again?
Here's the thing, I love AEW, but it has its faults.
Yeah.
It's so wrestling and spot heavy that it misses out on stuff like this. This is good storytelling. You don't have to hit 1,000 moves in every match to have a great match. This is an amazing match that, holds up by any era's standards. Oh, that was unique.
Yeah.
Swinging neckbreaker off the rope. And,
very nice.
And these guys aren't doing, 500 moves and, as soon as one of them hits a move, the other one gets back up and hits another move. They're selling their psychology, their storytelling. It's more than just how many moves can we hit in this match.
As you can see, this is a more kind of slow, calculated match compared to the one we just saw.
Yep.
With Batista.
And of course,
there's nothing wrong with that.
No, these two are going to go longer than Batista and Undertaker did, so they're pacing themselves.
Yeah, that too.
Edge is, really working over Undertaker at this point.
Like I said earlier, the first high-definition WrestleMania.
That is true. You see the WWE HD logo in the corner for the first time ever.
Hey, I know Professor likes that.
Why aren't you watching it in HD?
Yes. Why aren't you watching that 20-second clip in HD? Come on, man.
Oh, man. Classic moment that nobody knows what we're referencing.
Oh, man. My apologies, people.
Oh, it's fine. Got to have our inside jokes. No, man, I'm telling you what. I'm getting transported back to, God, this would have been 7th grade year. Yeah, 7th grade year.
Yeah.
And I know you remember Laston.
Oh.
James Laston. I watched this at his house. We watched this in his basement. Yes, we watched this in his basement and played with our wrestling figures the entire time.
Wow.
Yep, we played with our wrestling figures and we did our little fig feds after the night was over. I think he and I were up till damn near 3 a.m.
Oh, God.
We were so excited.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, it's like Christmas Day for wrestling fans.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, nasty bump to the outside by Edge. My God, I forgot how bad that looked.
Oh, God.
Oof.
Yeah.
If you guys are not doing the watch along with us, you do not understand why why I said that. But that was rough. Taker just throwing him off the top to the outside. See it again, right on his tailbone.
Oh,
And here comes the dive.
come on, Taker.
That's another thing. Taker doesn't get enough credit for his athleticism. He wasn't able to do it in later years, but man, a guy his size doing that over the top rope. Holy hell.
Crazy. And a lot of trust with his opponent to be doing that.
Yeah, to catch him.
Oh.
You got to think that's risky business no matter who you are if your opponent doesn't catch you. But when you're a 300-plus pound man,
Yeah.
that's catastrophic.
You really
if
need
they
someone
don't,
to catch you.
Yeah, that's catastrophic if they don't catch you.
Oh, yeah.
And we are just a few months away watching this from the PG era officially starting. The Ruthless Aggression era is kind of winding down, but I mean, this definitely feels like a Ruthless Aggression era match.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Taker limping.
And, you know, I didn't completely hate the PG era. It had its bad spots, but there's some good spots, too.
Yeah, and you know what? I can understand it. You know, like I listened to the Eric Bischoff podcast, and he's talked about, you know, they've gone public, and they also have a lot of sponsors. Having your product be the way it was in the early to mid 2000s and in the late 90s is not very advertiser friendly.
No.
Which is part of the reason why he's talked about AEW at the time, and during this time, this is around like late 2019, he said, you know, like AEW cannot be very advertiser friendly. And that is how you get a lot of your revenue. So, yeah, you know, they've got a lot of money because of, you know, Tony and Sage Khan, but they're probably not bringing in as much revenue as people might think they are.
Yeah.
And that's a big benefit to going PG. You know, people talk about how it's wild how they're having record profits and such low attendance and ratings, but they have so many sponsors now that it's not hard to believe that.
Well, and AEW pissed off Domino's Pizza.
Yep,
with that whole Nick Cage thing.
Which is a very big advertiser to piss off.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But no, Edge. Yeah, no, back to the match. Edge once again on the offensive, of course. Outside the ring. I don't think that is Charlotte Flair.
No. No, like at first glance, it was like, oh, Charlotte? But no, I don't think so.
Taker over the barricade to the outside. Yes, I do. I do know Charlotte was front row for this event, being the event that her dad retired. Don't mention TNA. This was his last ever night wrestling.
Yes, it was. Oh man, yeah, those fans that got to keep those chairs.
Yeah,
that's always great.
Oh yeah, they did. They did a lot of cool stuff like that for the fans that would sit front row at pay-per-views, especially for WrestleManias like this.
Always wish I could have done that, but you know, that shit's expensive.
Yeah, it's very expensive. Just sitting in the nosebleeds was expensive.
Yeah, just to even be there.
But you know what? For people who have never gone, I don't think there's anything in the world like a live WrestleMania.
Oh, it's amazing.
Like I went to WrestleMania. I went to WrestleMania 32. That's not really an all-time classic WrestleMania. There was a lot wrong with it, especially because of how many guys were injured at the time. We see Edge get a single-leg crab, but man, it's still one of the most magical experiences of my life, and I look back at that WrestleMania very fondly.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even if it's not a quote-unquote good Mania, it's about personal experience.
Yeah.
So...
And like I said, just imagine how spoiled I could have been if this would have been the first WrestleMania I saw live.
Oh.
I think for most people, this is like a top 3, top 5 all-time WrestleMania.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I could see that. Huh.
Yeah, anybody who's ever watched Wrestling with Regret with Brian Zane, he did a top 8 best WrestleManias of all time, but he let the fans vote for it rather than it being his own personal opinion. In a shock to no one, WrestleMania 17 won number 1 spot by a landslide. But
it's going to win for everybody. Yeah.
But I believe WrestleMania 24 was in the number 3 spot, just behind WrestleMania 19.
Wow.
And you know what? I would actually agree with that. I would even say you could flip-flop the two, and I'd still agree.
I probably would say that might be the top three.
I
Yeah,
really
might
think it
be.
is. Edge working over that leg a lot here. Like you said, this is a more grueling pace match. It's not a heavy
Yeah.
hitting just nonstop. It's more of a grueling match. But they're telling a good story with Undertaker getting worked over here and Edge taking advantage of every little thing he can to get the advantage on the Undertaker.
Yeah. Ultimate opportunist. I mean, I like it.
And I loved this match live. I've gone back and watched it several times, including right now, and I love it every time I watch it.
Oh.
This was such a fun time in wrestling, such a fun time to be a wrestling fan. And now we get the classic back and forth spot.
Yeah. That's always great.
Yeah, just what an... The chemistry, like seriously, I know I've said it, but the chemistry between these two cannot be overspoken. Like these two just work so damn well together.
Yeah.
And I think on top of the storyline that they told, the way these two work together in the ring is why this is just such an all-time classic feud, as they're just clubbing each other now. Undertaker gets the advantage.
Yeah, I'm sure people were probably offended with, Edge being with Vicky and all that. What would Eddie think and blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. I thought it was a good way to make him,
Oh, good.
give him a lot of heat.
Oh, absolutely. A great drop kick there from Edge. But no, it did a great job at getting him heat back then. And it was part of a very well told story, if we're being honest.
Just being all sleazy and doing whatever he could to be champion.
Yeah, and the thing is that she got over as a heel because of what she did for Edge during this time. But my God, it got him over as such a heel too, just being associated with her, because it was so obvious watching it. Like, even as a fan watching it as a kid, you're like, he doesn't really love her. She's just got power and she's giving him all these opportunities and he's taking advantage.
And you would have guys like Rey Mysterio try to point it out to her. He's just using you. And yeah, she didn't listen.
Nope, but a great counter there by Edge on that choke slam into the Edgecutioner DDT.
Yeah.
No, they did a great job with that story just in general. The Edge and Vicky storyline, while cringeworthy, was still great. And it gave us this feud, which was also phenomenal, as Edge is setting up for that spear. But a huge knee to the head.
Oh, man.
And now he's going for a ride. Big choke slam. That was a pretty big choke slam there. But of course, that will not be it.
Well, and also, you see Edge kind of pushed off, got himself up there.
Yep.
During the choke slam.
Yeah, he did a great job selling it.
Not to break kayfabe, ladies and gentlemen, but yeah.
Did you know a guy takes his own bump on the body slam by pushing off of his opponent's leg?
Whoa! Come on now.
Expose pro wrestling's greatest secrets.
Oh, God.
She's a stunt granny.
Terrible.
Oh, man.
Oh.
No, just like I said, they do such a great job here. Edge went out of his way to make Undertaker look great, and honestly, vice versa. Undertaker went out of his way to make Edge look phenomenal. And now we're about to see a huge superplex.
Ooh.
Not as much height as I thought. So Edge landed in a rough spot. He landed right kind of in that corner. One of the harder parts of the ring.
Yeah, that's not good.
And we get a kick out again.
That could have been better, I guess.
But it was still good.
Yeah.
Can't complain about a superplex, man.
I'm not. I just feel bad for Edge. That could have been a better landing.
Yeah, absolutely. Never forget, John Cena taking the Batista bomb from Batista at the SummerSlam that occurred this year, actually, 2008. And he landed in the very corner, and that was how his neck got injured.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Which took place in Indianapolis.
Yes, it did.
Another show that I wish I could have went to. Edge taunting. Oh, you shouldn't have done that, son.
Yeah.
Oh, but good counter by Edge. Woo.
NKO.
Oh, God. Shout out to Nick Ice, who is not listening to this or talking to us.
Yeah, there you go. Pretty much.
That was a great counter by Edge. They did a great job with that again. Like I said, Undertaker went out of his way to make Edge look so good in this match and in this feud in general.
Oh, man.
Big old clubbing shot to the back there. And now he's going to get the last ride. Ugh.
Oh.
Looked like that was going to be a rough landing, to be honest. And that's somehow not it.
Yeah, I love the last ride and the jackknife powerbomb.
Oh, yeah.
They're just so glorious. Yeah.
Yeah, regular power bombs are great, but the jackknife where he just kind of chucks them down.
Because they're so stiff, yeah.
Yeah, and the last ride, he hoists them up in a different way than a normal power bomb and just slams them down. No, they're both so great. And then, rest in peace, Scott Hall, the Outsider's Edge, a variation, or the Razor's Edge, a variation of the power bomb as well.
Yeah. Oh, man. That's a classic one, too. What a maneuver.
What a maneuver! And a kick out by The Undertaker again, of course. Edge with that just absolutely flabbergasted look on his face. He doesn't know what he has left to do.
Yeah.
And Undertaker just selling his exhaustion after that big boot collapsing. And now after getting halfway counted earlier, which they did a really good spot with that earlier, where he went for old school and Edge tried to arm drag him off, but Taker rolled through and arm dragged him back. Now we get the old school.
Woo! Just amazing how Taker could walk the ropes like that, too.
Oh, I know. Such a big dude. And Corderas is down. That's
yes.
That's why he was so scared of Undertaker. He knew that was going to happen.
He didn't like it.
Sit out reverse DDT.
Yeah. Dang. Oh, man.
Poor Jimmy Corderas is kind of like sideways too, so he didn't even see it coming.
Yeah.
Edge talking trash and he gets goozled. You can't stand over the Undertaker like that. But a low blow!
Oh, man.
Edge attacking the cameraman. And he's taking the camera from him.
Just like in Survivor Series 2007.
Yep, except Edge was dressed as the cameraman.
Oh, I know.
Right off
using
the
that
skull.
camera gimmick.
Yep.
Oh.
And see, like I said, great storytelling there. They brought it full circle. That's how this started, and now it's like, oh, that's how Edge is going to end it.
Yeah, and I always thought that when I watched it at the time. It was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
And he tries to revive Corderas, but knocks him out. Like I said, such great storytelling. Yeah, no, really cool the little callback they did to how this started. As The Undertaker sits up and Edge panics.
Ah.
And so then you see Edge doing the Taker throat slash. And then Edge going for the tombstone. But Taker counters.
Here we go.
Tombstone pile driver. As he struggles to try and get to the pin. And he's going to fold the arms over.
Here
no
we go.
Referee.
Classic moment.
And here he comes. Here he comes. Dun, 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 dun. 1, 2, kick out.
Kick out.
The moment by Charles Robinson that has been memed for years.
Oh.
Runs his way all the way down that ramp, and Taker is just shocked.
I mean, that was a lot of pressure on him to run down like that. What if he tripped?
Yeah. Oh, and here comes the edge heads. Yeah, thank God he didn't Titus O'Neil it. Taker, elbow to Kurt Hawkins. He's got Zack Ryder.
The NWA World Champ.
Yes, that's right. And he choke slams him onto Kurt Hawkins on the outside. Spear!
That's got to be it. The streak is over.
It's got to be, right? That's it. 1, 2, no!
Charles almost falling out of the ring.
Yeah.
Come on, Chuck. Come on, little Nate. Who was the referee in the Ric Flair match?
I can't remember. I think it might have been Charles Robinson, though.
I think so, yeah.
But I can't remember because it was technically a Raw match. And another spear.
Oh.
That'll do it, but the Hell's Gate! The Hell's Gate submission!
Oh, man, that was great. Is that when that debuted? I don't think so.
No, it debuted kind of in the build-up to this, like late 2007, as Obi's going nuts in the background.
Yeah. Yes, he is. Yeah, I guess I mean like debut during a match, maybe.
No, it debuted against Big Daddy V, I believe.
Yeah, classic.
And Edge taps.
Blood packets.
And this match is over.
There it is.
Like we said, such a great match. Following this, Undertaker and Edge would continue their feud all the way into the summer. Taker retained the title again via submission at Backlash. And by count out at Judgment Day, Vicky would ban the Hell's Gate submission for Edge.
Yeah.
But then Taker would lose the title back to Edge at One Night Stand in a TLC match following tons of interference from the Edgeheads, Chavo Guerrero, Bam Neely, forcing The Undertaker to leave WWE. Undertaker, of course. WWE. Undertaker would, of course, return and defeat Edge inside Hell in a Cell at SummerSlam that year during the little mini breakup angle that he and Vicky had. Dave Meltzer loved this match. He gave it 4.25 stars. What say you, Drew?
Oh, man, so slightly better than the Batista match, apparently.
Yep, just slightly better.
Yeah, I think I would agree.
I would agree. I think anywhere between 4 to 4.5 you could make the argument for. Great match, great storytelling, great ending, and one of the better feuds during our time watching wrestling. Two really fun matches to go back and watch. We hope you all enjoyed it with us. Undertaker will be going to the Hall of Fame this Friday night before WrestleMania. Or, sorry, not this Friday night. It'll be next Friday night. Next Friday night, April 1st. Sorry, we do still have one more week before WrestleMania. I got my time mixed up in my head. So
that's all good.
Yep, so we do still have one more week, but next Friday night, The Undertaker will be going into WrestleMania, and we watched two of our favorite Undertaker matches from his streak. Drew, any final thoughts before we go off the air today?
No, not really. Just those two were really good matches.
Absolutely.
It was a good time.
Don't forget to join us next week for the last episode of Wrestling the Past before we head into the live watch-along for WrestleMania 38 live on ThePack. For WrestleMania's Night 1 and 2, I believe there is something planned for watch-alongs. So don't forget to tune into that. But next week, are you ready for this, Drew?
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Next week, to continue and to wrap up WrestleMania March, we will be doing WrestleMania 32 from Dallas. I figure that's a good way to close it out. The last WrestleMania that took place in Dallas, of course, it was the first WrestleMania that I got to experience live. But we'll close it out with maybe not the best pay-per-view of all time, but let's take a look at how things went the last time they were in Dallas. So, Drew, what do you think? Anything off the top of your head that people can look forward to us talking about next week that you might remember?
The Shane McMahon Undertaker match was during this, I believe.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
I look forward to talking about that and my perspective of it from being there. But thank you guys so much for joining us. If you're watching in audio form on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. And on Spotify, same thing. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to the pack, like the video. And if you're watching from Spotify, don't forget to subscribe to the pack at youtube.com/user/we the Wolfpack. But instead of an O, put a 0. So subscribe there, and yeah, stay tuned for more. We will see you next week on Wrestling the Past. Bye-bye.
Peace out.
You will rest in peace.